Yes, continuing some highlights here from 1 Corinthians chapter 15. And I love this bit. It just stood out to me again, thinking about the death of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus. That confidence that we can have that death has been defeated. So in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 20, Paul refers to Christ being raised from the dead as the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. The first fruits. The first fruits was a feast, a festival that the Jews had. You can read about it in Leviticus 23. And it's, if you read kind of its origin there, it's the day after, the Sabbath after the Passover. Okay, so on the Passover, we know that was the festival, the Jewish festival, where Jesus died as our Passover lamb. But then you've got a Sabbath, and then you've got the day after the Sabbath, after the Passover, which in Easter terms would be Easter Sunday. So just as Jesus was being crucified, while the Passover lamb was being sacrificed, or the many lambs, in the same way, on the day after the Sabbath, after the Passover, we have the Feast of First Fruits. That is, they were bringing the first part of their harvest, and they were bringing it and presenting it to God in the temple and saying, here's the first part. We're trusting you for more, right? This is the first part. We're giving it to you. We're trusting you that there is going to be more to come. And at that moment, as that was taking place in the temple, what's happening in the tomb? Well, Jesus isn't there. He stood up and he's walked out of the tomb, the first fruits from the dead. And so what Paul says here is Christ has been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. Just as death came through one man, so also through one man comes the resurrection from the dead. So there's an order to it. Verse 23, Christ the first fruits, then at his coming those who belong to Christ. What that means is this. When Jesus rose from the dead and he came out of the tomb, and he stepped back into this world fully alive, resurrected from the dead. He was coming as the first fruits, as the first of more to come. Right now we're in a context where there's a whole load of death. They're sweeping across the land. But for those who belong to Christ, we have confidence that because Jesus rose from the dead, if we are his, we too will participate in the resurrection at his coming. And so we look back to the fact that he rose, and we look forward to the fact that we will rise. He's the first fruits, and that's a guarantee of more to come.